And that's been the silver lining of the pandemic. It introduced me to all these new people, all these new things that I didn't even know I could do. I mean, I was not very tech savvy at all before the pandemic, and now I'm, feeling pretty tech savvy. But it's just propelled me in a direction I never knew I had. So I'm so proud of myself. I'm having so much fun. And it's provided me with a whole new direction that I never knew existed. And I love what I'm doing. I feel like it's really important work what I'm doing, and I feel like I'm contributing. So yeah, it's exciting, and I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for it. And that way I'm grateful for the pandemic, because I never would be here had it not been for the pandemic.
Hello, you are listening to the Late Bloomer Living podcast, where we are reimagining and redefining what it means to be in midlife, where we are gathering energy, momentum, and excitement for our next chapter via candid conversations with other midlifers about their own pivots, pitfalls, and triumphs. I'm Yvonne Marchese, your host, and I'm so happy you're here. Hello, my friend. So I have a question for you today. Have you ever surprised yourself when you faced a challenge and you rose to the occasion in a way that you never would have predicted that you'd be able to? If you can't think of something immediately, that's totally normal, by the way, but I seriously want you to put me on pause for a minute and to ask yourself that question. Too often I think we gloss over our accomplishments. But if you go back in time to a point when you were facing an uncertain future and you were scared to death about what that future held for you, and then look at what you did to overcome that fear and do what you needed to do to get past the hurdles, I think you might start to recognize how resourceful you had to be and how you marshaled those resources to get through that challenge. And I want you to bask in that for a moment, because it's very likely that you have yet another hurdle in front of you now. Hello, welcome to life, And there's no crystal ball to let you know how it's all going to work out. You might be worried. You might feel frozen in fear and unable to move forward. But if you can really tap into your past success, it can give you the boost you need now to take the next steps necessary to do what you need to do. My guest today is Gail Gould, otherwise known as the CPR and Safety Lady. She's been a professional CPR instructor for over 30 years and trained 10,000 people to save lives. See, now before the pandemic, she was doing it all in person. And then, well, you know what happened. She had to figure out a way forward. I can't wait for you to hear her story. But before we do, I have some news. If you've been listening for a while, you know that in May, I hosted the Midlife Uprising Summit for women who are ready to make waves as they get older. I think that's you, maybe. If you missed it, anyway, the recap real quickly is that we had 33 incredible speakers come together to offer strategies and tips and advice to help you step into your next chapter with purpose and excitement. And we ended up with over 350 participants, and there was some incredible community building during the event. I realized how much is possible when we collaborate and work together. So I've decided to finally offer you guys a space to explore your next chapter in community with a bunch of other like-minded women. I'm officially launching the Midlife Uprising community, and you are so invited to join in the fun. We will be having monthly meetups via Zoom with activities and topical conversation and a chance to network. And if you can't make it to the Zoom meetings, you can always watch the replays, and there will be a dedicated online space where we can connect, get to know each other, and figure out our next adventure. You can get more information and join in the fun at midlifeuprising.com. I would love to see you there. Okie dokie. So, without further ado, here's Gail Gould. Let's go. Hey, Gail. Thank you so much for being with me today.
Yvonne, I'm so excited to be here to talk to you. So excited. We have a lot to talk about.
And I'm just saying a little shout out to Nino Bear right now for connecting you and me and seeing that you'd be spot on to talk to me. Thank you. Well, let's talk about what you do, Gail. It's so cool. Like you're in the middle of a reinvention right now, right?
Yes, right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Do you mind telling people how old you are? Do you
Not at
keep that on the
all.
down low, or are you shout it out?
No. I don't mind at all. On Saturday in 48 hours, I will be 67 years old.
No.
And when
So
I say
happy
that,
early
I'm just like,
birthday.
thank you, thank you. And so yeah, and I'm not, I've kind of cleared the day. But normally I'm really excited. My birthday, I've always felt like should have been a national holiday. I'm one of those people when I was a little kid, it's my birthday, it's my birthday. And I just get excited because people email and call and text and Facebook but 67, that's getting up there. But you know what, Yvonne, I'm so grateful to be alive, to have a family, to have a career, to be healthy, to love what I'm doing. And but I tell you what, I work hard. I work really, really hard at taking care of not only my physical body, but also my mental and emotional state as well. I really do work at it. And it's important to me. So yeah, 67 on Saturday. And my husband's like, don't tell people how old you are. They won't know. I said, I'm proud of it. I love telling people my age because they'll go, oh, well, you don't look or seem like you're that old. Well, it's just, but you really, and I'll tell you what, the 50s decade was very different than the 60s. There's just, each decade is different. And, but getting back to who I am and what I do, and I have been a professional CPR instructor for over 30 years. I've trained 10,000 people to save lives. My mission is to CPR train as many people as possible because you never know when you might need to use it. And I had mainly, built up a pretty lucrative business doing in-person CPR training in my hometown of Houston, Texas. And then the pandemic happened. And obviously CPR training was not everyone's most favorite thing to do when COVID-19 came around. So I had to kind of pivot and move into more Zoom training, Zoom CPR training. And when I first started, I was a little nervous in April of 2020 doing Zoom CPR training, but I had clients who had to have CPR in order to work and continue working. So we tried it and it was very well received. I was like, wow, this is working. And then American Heart Association, one of the groups that I provide courses for, authorized virtual training. I was like, well, okay, they're authorized and I can do it. And so now Zoom training is just a whole new different part of my repertoire. So it was one of the silver linings of the pandemic. And then the way that I ended up on Clubhouse and Instagram was in January of 2020. I think we've talked about this, Yvonne, right before the pandemic. I met a loving mom who doesn't live far from me who lost her infant to choking. And I had a client tell me about her and ask if I could speak with her. And she and I spoke on the phone, and here I'm on the phone with this total stranger, and we're both crying. And she's telling me what happened with her baby. So she was feeding her 8-month-old. Her 8-month-old started choking. The mom panicked, did not know what to do, ran to the neighbor's house. And by the time she got back home, her baby had died. I know. So I'm on the phone with this total stranger. We're both crying. And so she, we were on the phone for about an hour, and then we sort of became Facebook friends and we stayed in contact. And then the pandemic happened and I needed something creative to do. So she inspired me to create my digital course, which is called How to Help Your Choking Child. So it's a digital course. It's a mini course that empowers people with the knowledge, empowers parents, grandparents, teachers, and caregivers with the knowledge to know exactly what to do if their child is choking. And people think, well, this will never happen to my child. It happens more often than you think. In fact, main cause of unintentional death of infants under the age of 1 is obstructed airway, meaning choking. I just was training staff at a very large country club here in Houston on Monday night, and they told me about a staff member whose grandchild died from choking. So unfortunately, it does happen.
Awful.
Just
awfulness.
Just awful, awful, awful. But, it is a preventable emergency in most cases. It's something you can prevent from happening. So meanwhile, this happened, I decided I'm going to create a digital course because I had all this extra time on my hands. And I created this digital course. I hired people to help me get up and running online. And I'm so proud of it. It was a labor of love. And it is a course that empowers people with knowledge what to do if their child is choking. So I got on Clubhouse and Instagram to market this course. And as you well know, Yvonne, on Clubhouse, you meet lots and lots of people. I've met so many wonderful people on Clubhouse. I've met some not so wonderful people too, but I've mainly met really, really nice people. And, I've had no idea how to present myself on Instagram. And I'm so proud of what I'm doing on Instagram. And I love being on Instagram. It's so much fun because I love being on video. I love creating content. I love doing reels. I love doing Instagram lives. I love doing IG lives.
I was looking through your Instagram videos and I was like, it's really neat. Like, and one of my questions to you before we started recording was, are you uncomfortable on camera? Because I have had to learn how to be comfortable on camera and doing reels. And for me, it is, even though I'm a performer, I'm a theater performer,
right?
Completely different and
it
so
is
uncomfortable. And, when I'm doing theater, there's a role, there's a story, there's rehearsals, there's other actors, there's sets and costumes and all this support stuff. And when I go on camera, just me, it's like fear feels like I'm standing on stage naked. So my question to you was like, do you like doing it? And you're like, oh, I love it. And it's so amazing. So you are just like, the pandemic like launched you into this new state of being, really, right?
That's exactly
in your 60s.
Right.
I just want people to hear that, in your 60s, right?
That's exactly right. I had no idea the pandemic was going to do this. And just like everybody else, Yvonne, when the pandemic first started, I had fear, I had anxiety.
Right?
I was so worried. My income just went way, way, way down. I wasn't feeling productive. And I was trying to find ways to figure out how to feel productive. My teenage son was home doing online school. It was just, like everybody else, but the way it all transpired and worked out has just been amazing. And I found this whole new sort of path, just like I reinvented myself at age 49 when I became a new mom. Now I feel like I'm kind of reinventing myself now, and it's exciting. It's exciting, very, very, right? It's very exciting.
So do you feel the fear as much as you feel the excitement, or are you just excited? Like, where does that land between fear and excitement for you? They say it's the same thing.
It depends on the day. It depends on the day. But today I'm feeling a lot of excitement. Every day is different, but I feel like I'm building something. I feel like I'm creating something. I feel like I'm doing really important work. I feel like I'm contributing to the world. And that's really, really important to me. And, if you'd said to me 3 years ago, oh, well, you'll be on Clubhouse and Instagram, you'll be doing videos, I've gone, what? But I'm loving it. And so it just kind of happened organically and naturally. And, when I was younger, my mom, who's no longer with us, would say, she said, I knew I wasn't going to cure cancer. I knew I wasn't going to do anything wonderful. She said, but what I thought I could do is just raise 2 really nice, good people that contribute to the world. And that's my contribution to the world, is to raise people that could do good things in the world. And it's weird. I feel like I'm doing something really important. I mean, when I have people that email me or call me after a training, like, oh my God, that thing you taught me to do saved my child's life. Or I was able to give my dad CPR and keep him alive till EMS arrived. Oh God, it makes me feel so good. And then when people write, testimonials after they've taken my training, like, thank you so much. I've never understood CPR before till I took it from you. So yeah, and I mean, Yvonne, I have so many stories. I have so many stories. I need to write all these stories down, what people have shared with me, stories where, they've had to give CPR to strangers, or they had to give CPR to their child or their husband. And yeah, I wish I'd written them all down, because I probably have about 500 stories. And one of the stories is popping into my brain right now. I had a man call me about 4 or 5 years ago, and he's the CEO of a large company out in the Woodlands, which is a very large suburb of Houston. And he was kind of hemming and hawing, and well, I'd like to train my employees in CPR. So finally, usually there's a reason behind it. And he said to me, well, I was at Houston Intercontinental Airport, and I heard someone yelling, help me, help me. And there was a young guy, his wife had gone into cardiac arrest in the airport, and he needed an AED. So this man ran, he got the AED, the automatic external defibrillator. They ran back to his wife. They used it on her, saved her life. And they called him the next day and said, thank you very much. You helped save my wife's life. And so he felt like it was important that all of his employees knew how to perform CPR, and he purchased an AED for me to have for his office. So,
wow.
stories, just.
It really does come down to it. Isn't it funny how that kind of an experience, so often it's either a loss that somebody experiences, or a near loss, something that really shakes them up. And then that becomes an impetus, to do something about it and spread that out. It's so great that you're doing that work. And, I was thinking back to like when you first started talking, and you mentioned being grateful for your health and for your family. And I want to go back to something that you just mentioned a moment ago, which was that, being a mom and starting late. And I know that you have a whole story there too. I mean, that this is a reinvention for you, but you did. I mean, you've done this a couple times now, right? If you don't mind, tell me a little bit about the story about becoming a mom and how that worked out for you.
Absolutely. I love telling this story, Yvonne. Thank you for asking. I got married at 36, started trying to get pregnant around age 39, maybe 39, 40. It wasn't happening for me because in the 1950s, when I was born, my mother took a drug called DES, and that drug has complicated pregnancy for a lot of people in my age range. And so I was told, if you do have a baby, you probably won't be able to carry it to term. It just got so complicated and difficult. So my husband and I just said, you know what, let's just forget it. So then I'm kind of a chronic obituary reader. I love reading obituaries because I love to see what people have done with their lives. And I started getting really sad because I read these obits when people never had children. I thought, that's sad. They never had children. I said, I don't want to go through life without a child. So that's when we started the adoption process. So we started about age 41, and it took us 8 years to adopt. Wow. A long journey. Yvonne, I can read, it is a long journey. I can read back, I've been a journaler my whole life, and I can read back in my journal, oh God, I'm going to cry. And I could read things like, to say to myself, this is never going to happen. I give up. It's too hard. Because we had a couple of near misses. And finally, I was 48 and a half. Finally, we signed up with a lawyer from Los Angeles. 3 months later, he called me because I have a baby for you, or a mom for you. And it happened so fast. And the funny thing is that I'll never forget, before we got the call, and I was so nervous. I felt like I was getting ready to jump off a cliff as we were flying to Los Angeles to pick up my son. I thought, this is the scariest thing I've ever done. And the second I saw him as a baby and I held him, every bit of fear dissipated.
Wow.
It was the most miraculous feeling. Oh God, I'm verklempt here. It was such a miraculous feeling. And it's been my son is 18. It's been the best 18 years of my life. And I know my husband agrees too. The very best hands down 18 years of my life. I mean, it's been up and down and like a roller coaster, but we're so grateful for him. He's just so loving, so kind, so fun, so funny, so smart. It's just been a wonderful journey. And so, yeah, I reinvented myself at age 49, and people thought we were crazy. You're doing what at age 49? You've got, I mean, I threw myself into his preschool and his grade school, and I was teaching CPR at his grade school. When he was in middle school, I taught CPR every week to the middle school students. It was so much fun. I loved it. I'm a theater mom. I was involved in all of his theater productions in middle school. And now that he's in brick and mortar school and high school, last week he was in SpongeBob. So I went to all three performances, and SpongeBob was long, but it was so much fun. So yeah, I reinvented myself at age 49. And so now I feel like I'm kind of reinventing myself again, because he's getting ready to go off to college in the fall. And as you know, Yvonne, well, at least you're still gonna have one at home. I'm just gonna have my dog and my husband.
Right. Oh, but it's gonna come fast. I mean,
Yes.
I think about it. My youngest is 14, so I'm 5 years away from not having any kids. I mean, I started late too. I was blessed and able to have kids. I think about it, but I started late. It could have been a different story. I was 35 when I had my first.
Right.
And I always say it's the best and hardest thing I've ever done is being a mom. I mean, it changed me in essential seismic ways. It changed who I am and how I move through the world. I'm so happy for you that you were able to do that. And I have to tell you, by the way, I am adopted. And
I remember you shared that with me.
Yeah. And it's, I'm thankful every day that my parents adopted me. So,
Yvonne, speaking of college, I know he won't mind me sharing this, but as you know, you have to write essays to get into college.
Oh yeah. We're in the middle of it.
Right. And so my son, one of the prompts in one of his essays, Yvonne, the prompt was, who's been most influential in your life? And he wrote about his birth mom, how she was had such a major impact on his life, that she had the knowledge to know she could not take care of him. Wow. And how grateful he was for that, because he just talked about what a wonderful life he's had with my husband and I, and all the amazing things he's been able to do that he knows he would not been able to do. So he was grateful to her that she had the knowledge, she could not take care of him. So of course I cried when I read it. And I just couldn't believe it, what a wonderful essay he wrote. It's just, I don't know. I know what I was going to tell you. My son has been my best teacher. He has been the best teacher ever for me. I mean, there are things, he said something so profound to me the other evening. I was like, oh my, thank you. Thank you for saying, I mean, he's just been my best teacher. And I'm so grateful for that. I'm so, so grateful. And so it's just, has it been hard? Absolutely, positively. But I didn't expect it to be easy. Nothing, my mom would tell me nothing good comes easy, and it's certainly not easy. But, as you all know, having kids is like being on a roller coaster, right?
Ooh, girl.
And so, but it's mostly been good, but I'm definitely pre-grieving him leaving in the fall. And I feel like the work I'm doing now is going to set me up for him when he's gone. That
boy, you're heading right where I wanted to ask you, because I do think that there's I'm hopeful for you about that, because there's something about being able to step into your own power now, and so great that you've found this path before he's left, because
absolutely.
I think it would be so much harder afterwards in a way when it's almost like, I don't know, like to be able to know that you are going to have something to focus on when he goes. I think will
Well,
probably
that's
ease your
that's
way. I'm
absolutely
guessing.
right. And that's been the silver lining of the pandemic. It introduced me to all these new people, all these new things that I didn't even know I could do. I mean, um, I was not very tech savvy at all before the pandemic, and now I'm, feeling pretty tech savvy. But it's just propelled me in a direction I never knew I had. So I'm so proud of myself. I'm having so much fun, and it's provided me with a whole new direction that I never knew existed. And I love what I'm doing. I feel like it's really important work what I'm doing, and I feel like I'm contributing. So yeah, it's exciting, and I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for it. And that way I'm grateful for the pandemic, because I never would be here had it not been for the pandemic.
Girl, I totally like that. The pandemic, I had my podcast on my brain for 2 years before the pandemic, thinking, oh, I'd really love to do that. But I was stopped by not knowing the tech, not knowing how to produce a podcast, and being overwhelmed at the thought of having to learn it. I didn't have the money to pay somebody to do it for me or walk me through it. And the pandemic shut down my photography business for 3 months where I couldn't do anything. And I was like, this is my chance. And I had already
Right.
decided, no, I'm definitely going to do this. And I had started, but I was researching and I still didn't, the time was definitely a factor of like, I can't get this done fast enough. And then I had 3 months where I could just go, okay, 9 to 5, I'm digging in.
I don't know if I would have had the wherewithal to do this had I been in my 30s, if the pandemic happened at that point. But I'm to the point in life now
Interesting.
where
Tell me more about that. Cause I was literally going to ask you, like, how do you feel stepping into this now? I'm wondering, like, you're on this reinvention path right now through taking your business online, which is because of the pandemic. But what have you learned about yourself? What do you think is possible now that you're doing it at your age right now, instead of maybe, how sometimes you look and you think, oh, I wish I'd done this way back when.
Oh yeah. I've always wanted to make a difference. I always felt like that I had something to give and I wanted to make a difference. And I wasn't quite certain what that was. I have a graduate degree in exercise science, health promotion. When I finished with that in 1989, I guess I had just gotten married. I wanted to go out and help people learn how to exercise effectively or lose weight or stop smoking and I just wanted to help people. And so that was kind of that was kind of my trajectory at that point. But as I've gotten older and more mature, and I was CPR training back then, that's true, but I don't know, I've just been able to sort of niche down as I've gotten older to do it, just find out exactly specifically what I wanted to do, because I was doing all these different kind of health promotion things back then. I've been a group exercise instructor. I've been a personal trainer to some very high profile clients, and that was a lot of fun. But as I got older, I've just been niching down, and now I've sort of niched down to exactly what I want to do, and I feel like what I'm doing is important. And so instead of, I was trying on all these different hats back then. So
Yeah, it sounds
I
like
think
you've
just,
been digging. They talk about the layers of an onion, and you peel and you peel and you peel, and
yeah, right.
it's like digging. I think there's this opportunity as we get older to really uncover maybe what's been there all along, and kind of
Yes.
get in and explore what we want. And there's some freedom that comes from having our kids be older. If you're a
Oh,
parent,
absolutely. Absolutely.
yeah.
Definitely. I mean, I journal, I meditate every day, 17 minutes in the morning, 17 minutes in the evening. And I started meditating because I had insomnia about 3.5 years ago, and I didn't want to take sleeping pills. So I had tried meditation before, but I found this specific type of meditation where thoughts were not the enemy. You can have thoughts while you're meditating. That really relieved me of feeling like I was a failure while I was meditating. So,
right.
and then
Yeah.
then I started journaling 20 minutes a day. Man, it's hard. It is hard, but I cannot tell you, Yvonne, how much I've learned about myself in journaling. Because you just write it all down there. It's like I'm like a 5-year-old, just writing. It has been so therapeutic, and I've learned so much from it, and almost kind of healing my inner child. And so I've journaled most of my life. I've journaled on and off for years, and but I'm doing it in a different way now. Because then I would just sort of chronicle what was going on. And when I was 17 and 18, I'd say, oh, so-and-so was really mean to me. And I went on a date with so-and-so. As I got older, it was more just chronicling the day. Now, I talk about, what I was angry about when I was little and why, what I was raging about and who did me wrong and who left me out. And it's been really, really therapeutic. So, the more you, like you said, the more you peel the layers back, the more you can figure out exactly who you are and what you want and where you want to go. And it depends on the day how I feel. But as we spoke at the beginning, today I'm feeling really, really, really energetic and really good and really positive. And, I'm excited to speak with you. And so, yeah, it's just, I think that, I think that the way I envision, if you'd asked me in my 20s, what are you going to be like in your 60s? I would have thought, well, I've had like sort of gray hair and wouldn't be exercising and wouldn't have a career. I just had to be just sitting around doing not much. I wasn't quite certain. I had no clue that I'd be doing what I'm doing now, which is kind of reinventing myself, starting over, being excited. And so it is an exciting time for me. It really is, as strange as that sounds. But definitely, my 50s was just an amazing decade for me because my son was adopted when I was 49, and it was so much fun. And I was kind of dreading the 60. I can't say 60 was my best birthday ever, but I think I had a party on my 60s, so I'd be happy. I can't remember, but I'm over halfway done with the 60s, and so far it's going pretty well. I'm excited that I have something to look forward to.
Yeah.
That's what it is. I definitely have something
that's
to look forward to.
I think that is so important. It's like they say that, the experiences, the benefit of experience over, let's say, buying a thing. You've got the experience, let's say, of a vacation or an event, right? And part of the bonus of it is the planning,
right,
the
absolutely,
right, of going into it and then the looking back on it too, right? That you don't get from, say, buying a great outfit or a purse or whatever. It's that's a one-off, and you got it, and then it's old and
it wears off quickly.
Yeah,
very quickly.
but so I think that, my point of view is that I think the key to the Fountain of Youth is being excited about something, is having something to look forward to.
Yes.
Is having purpose and having, just having purpose and excitement and something that is driving you. I think that is where the juice is.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love planning, and I couldn't agree with you more. Back when I was little, my dad would say to me, make certain you find something you love to do, because you're going to have to work. Just find something you love to do. And you know what, Yvonne, it's taking me a long time, but I love what I'm doing. I love it. I'm having so much fun. I'm enjoying it. I have something to look forward to. And even though I am definitely pre-grieving my son leaving for college, I feel like that I'm still going to have something to look forward to once he's gone.
You're a total inspiration. I mean, I'm just like, my 40s were a tough decade for me, trying to figure out what I was doing, even though I had found photography at 40, and the photography literally saved me. But yeah, there was a self-talk thing happening in my 40s there that wasn't healthy. There was, I was telling myself
Right.
I was old. I was, and that's really what it was. It was that I was telling myself it was too late to do something that meant something to me. I had such a limited point of view of what was possible. And that shifted through doing meditation and yoga and exercise every day, and taking care of myself started to help me
Yes.
shift that
Absolutely.
picture and that story that, that we've been fed. We've been fed the story that
Oh my God, absolutely.
right.
I could not agree more. And you know what? The 40s were a really difficult decade for me too, Lynn, because that's when we were going through the adoption process.
Mm.
And my friends were having babies in their late 30s, like you, in their 30s. And they were having baby showers, and I would go and I'd cry. My husband was like, if you're going to come home and cry, don't go. And even in my 40s, my friends were doing things with their kids. And one of my friends was kind enough to make me godmother for her third daughter. But it just, and I remember one time I took her daughter to the zoo. We're at the zoo, and she looks up at me and she says, don't you wish I was yours? And I know, I'll never forget that. And I looked at her, I was like, yeah, I kind of do. I kind of do. And I told her mother that. She said, oh, I can't believe she said that to you. But yeah, the 40s, I think the 40s are difficult for a lot of women because you're going through perimenopause, right?
Mm-hmm.
Perimenopause, menopause. And so I think the 40s it was a really hard decade for me. But man, the 50s were I loved my 50s, loved it. And I went into the 60s thinking, oh boy, this is really, but now, at 67, I'm going, maybe it's not so bad.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not so bad, and so this has truly been the silver lining of the pandemic.
Yeah.
And, and so, yeah, but for women, we've been fed the story that, and, even looking at my mom, you think, oh, in your 60s, everything's just downhill, but it doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
It definitely,
I was thinking about what you said
be.
about your mom, and that she just wanted to raise two kids to do something important, that what she felt like was her mission was raising the two of you. And I mean, that is important. That's,
Oh, it's so
and clearly
important.
that's what that carried you through your 50s, right? That was, I mean, not everybody needs to have kids to feel fulfilled. And, so there's that, but you clearly did. That was something that had you not been able to experience that was going to be a missing thing for you. And, I just think it's so interesting that it just depends on who you are, what's important, what is making the contribution to the world. And I'm so I'm so happy for you that you got the
I mean,
opportunity to do that.
I'm weepy. You're gonna make me cry here.
You've already made me cry, lady.
I know. This has just been such a wonderful conversation, Yvonne. But yeah, I just, you know what? I said this, I don't know if you know Monica Van Landingham on Clubhouse. She's in that same
I know of
community
her,
with
but I
Nina.
don't know her. Yeah, I hear great
Oh,
things about
just
her.
love her. And I said this to her, and she reminded me, she said, Gail, you told me you were tenacious. And I am. That, I was never as smart as my older brother. I was never as popular. I wasn't as good looking, but boy, I am tenacious. And I've told people I'm going to do whatever it takes to make this up and running, make this work for me on Instagram.
Oh my gosh, it's been such a pleasure to talk to you. This has gone by so fast. And so people can find you at CPR Safety Lady, right?
The CPR and Safety Lady, and they can find my digital course, How to Help Your Choking Child, at the CPR and Safety Lady. And by February, I will have a digital CPR course.
Oh my gosh, you're unstoppable. I love it. I love it. I will make sure to touch base with you again as it gets closer and make sure that we have links that people can go to so that they can find what's currently happening. And
Yes.
make sure to connect with you through the show notes and everything else. Oh my gosh. Thank you again.
Thank you, Yvonne.
Well, there you have it. There are a few things I picked up on when talking to Gail that really stood out to me. First of all, she's got this positive attitude and tenacity, as she says. I believe that's what enabled her to pivot so quickly during the pandemic and start offering her safety courses online despite not being tech savvy. Do you ever stop yourself because you're not tech savvy? I'm raising my hand right now because I totally have. You know? And did you notice how many times she mentioned feeling grateful? When looking back on the pandemic, she said that she was grateful for how it propelled her in a new direction. She found those new tech skills and made herself get up on Instagram. And in taking her business online, she's ended up meeting amazing people, and she's very rightly feeling proud of herself and excited. That's what I wish for you and everyone, frankly. It's exciting to step into new challenges. That's where all the good juice is, my friend. So speaking of that, before we go, I want to remind you to check out our new membership community at midlifeuprising.com. Join up and surround yourself with a bunch of other women who will be there to cheer you on as you step into your next challenge. You can always email me with any questions at latebloomerliving@gmail.com. I'd really love to hear from you. So that's about it for this week. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you have a fantastic week. Stay safe and well. Talk soon.